Hey there. I've had a couple of requests to do an eyebrow tutorial, and while I was not blessed with big, bold, beautiful brows, I have managed to develop a few techniques, found some great tools, and the right shape along the way to take me to where I am now. This is where I came from, yet you can see tiny, thin brows. So while it's taken a couple of years, I think I've finally been able to achieve that more modern, bold look. So I'm going to walk you through the process today and how I achieve a big, bold brow. Before we get to the eyebrow tutorial, I thought, we need to go back a little bit. Let's talk about the eyebrow shape. So I'm taking you to the salon. I gave up waxing years ago. I find that with threading, I can achieve the shape that I really want. And let's be honest, if you don't have the shape, you're not going to achieve that perfect brow that you're looking for. So we're gonna go inside and I'm gonna show you how it's done. We started this process like, what, a year ago? Mm-hmm. And it has taken a while to get them the proper shape.
Yes.
What are you looking for when it comes to a proper eyebrow shape?
Thickness, a right arch, and it should be, the growth should be there so that we can shape the eyebrows better.
And we've had to grow out
Yes.
a few of my eyebrows.
Yes.
So I didn't start out with great eyebrows. Manisha helped me be patient and grow them out and develop that great arch. So now we're just kind of cleaning them up. Okay, let's start. I find that threading is less painful than waxing, and don't you find that it allows you to get a more precise brow?
Yes, definitely. It lasts longer too.
How much longer does it last over waxing?
Definitely 1 or 2 weeks better than wax. It's very gentle on the skin.
Well, that was my biggest concern, is using wax and pulling on that upper eyelid skin for years. How does it work?
It's more, you're twisting the thread and the hair is coming out of root rather than with the friction, we're taking away the skin and the hair is coming out.
So you're just grabbing the hair?
Yes, just grabbing the hair, make a twist and then.
So if you notice then, I am pulling up my eyes so that the skin is nice and stretched so that she can just grab the hair with the thread and not the skin. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel anything. It is a lot less painful than waxing, and she gets a precise look every single time. Okay, let's take a look. So much more cleaned up.
Yes.
You watched Manisha take off my eyebrows, and now it's time to put them back on. So if you look closely, and we'll get closer here in just a minute, you can see I don't have a lot of brows. They have gaps in the front and they're relatively thin on the side, but she does the best she can. She's giving me a little bit of an arch, and this is actually the fullest I've had them probably in years. So before we get started, I want to show you the tools I'm going to be using today. There's just a few, and I really like the Anastasia Beverly Hills products. That's all I'm going to be using today. I have all of my makeup still on from earlier, so I'm kind of working backwards. Typically, I wouldn't have, the eyelashes, the eyeliner, the whole nine, but that's okay. I went ahead and wiped all the makeup off the top of my lid and my brow and added a little Kat Von D Lock-It Concealer. And I use this on the top and on the bottom just to make sure that the brow makeup has something to stick to. Now, the next product I really like is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz, and I use the color in soft brown. Now, there's a couple of reasons I like this. Number one, it has a spoolie on the end, and I learned that word recently. It's basically the eyebrow brush. And then on the other end, you've got the pencil. Now, getting real close there. There you go. The reason I like this is because I don't have to sharpen it, and it has a very soft edge, so it doesn't come off too harsh when I'm creating that line at the very beginning, and we'll get to that in a second. Next is the Anastasia Brow Duo, and this comes with 2 colors, and it's a powder. I'm starting to get low on that one, but I use the blonde in this, and I like to use a lighter color. when it comes to filling them in. I've always been told to either buy a color that matches your brow or is one shade lighter, so you're not getting that extreme look. And for me, I think it's more forgiving when it comes to making mistakes, which I do periodically when I'm trying to build a brow. And I love, love this brush. So this brush is also by Anastasia, and once again, it has the spoolie on the end of it. And then it's got a very, very, very fine little brow brush at the top, which makes it very precise when I'm using it. And lastly, the Anastasia Tinted Brow Gel. And this one's in brunette. Give you kind of a close look there. So I've got soft brown, brunette, a little bit of blonde, a lot of dimension working in the brow. Now, part of the reason I use the tinted brow gel is because I do have such sparse brows up towards the front. I find that that tinted gel adds a little more dimension and a little more thickness, or at least it gives the appearance. Otherwise, I guess I would just use clear. But I've been really happy with this. And then that's kind of like the hairspray for the brow. And they're in place, they're set, they're not gonna move. Recently I started switching up my brow colors and making them darker because I've been dyeing my hair darker over the last couple of months. In fact, you can go right there and watch that video. I'll post it up there for you so that you can actually see the process from that blonde to that darker hair color. So when I was more blonde, I was always told to pick the color that's at the base of your root and do that for your brow. It's a lot more complimentary and not such a drastic difference. We've gotten close. We're gonna get a little bit closer. Let's go ahead and put my brows back on. I'm going to get as close as I can. I've got my mirror, so I'll probably be looking down, and we're gonna start by brushing all of the brow hairs up. And this is so I can see where my baseline is, because I have so many gaps here at the front, especially on my right brow. I need to make sure I know where I'm going. And so this way the hair is all out of the way, and I'll begin with the Brow Wiz pencil. So let me get closer for you. And I'm gonna start by creating a baseline. And this is so I know which direction the brow is gonna go. And I know it's said that eyebrows are sisters, not twins, but I'm gonna get them to be as symmetrical as possible. And I start by doing a baseline, not a harsh baseline, just something that's a little soft so I know where I'm going. So you can see where the little two hairs I have out here start. So that's where I'm gonna start the pencil. And I'm just creating a line because all of this is gonna have to be filled in. Fortunately, I have enough hair up here to be able to have a guiding point so I know where to stop at the end. But the beginning, the hardest part, that is tricky. Okay, so I've created that baseline. In the video, it looks really harsh. I'm gonna soften it, don't worry. But I wanna make sure that I have a direction for the brow. So now you can see I'm starting here at the front. It's got a nice little arch, it'll go back, and I'm gonna do that to both sides. If you look really closely, and I think you can kind of see it, back up a little bit, there are a couple of extra hairs that Manisha left so I could have a guiding point. They're still kind of growing in, but they are growing, so we're getting somewhere. But this way I don't have to just make up hair as I go along, kind of like I have to do on the right side of the brow. So now back up. Looks kind of weird, but I have two baselines, so now I know how to build my brow from there. I'm gonna soften this baseline so it doesn't stick out, but I need to have a starting point. That is why I love the spoolie, because I can go back in and soften anything. So if I go too dark one day, I get a little carried away, all I have to do is go back and just sort of brush it out, and all is forgiven. Okay, once I'm happy with the baseline, which I am now, I've smoothed out the baseline a bit. I'm gonna go back through with the Brow Wiz, and I'm going to take this and create little strokes at the front. I have no eyebrows at the front, so I'm gonna have to create them, and that's why this Brow Wiz is perfect for anyone out there who has really thin brows, because this allows you to be very precise. And again, just little flicks so that you can create a hair-like look towards the front. So we started that process now of creating little flicks, and so you're starting to see some more depth develop. I'm gonna go back through and again kind of soften those out. You're probably thinking, wow, you use that spoolie a lot, but I went through a period where I really was putting on all this brow makeup a little too harsh. Now, I do put it on heavier if I'm going to work, just because the camera lighting really drowns everything out, but otherwise I try to have a softer hand, which is why this spoolie is my best friend. I have the base of my brow done, so now we can move on to the powder. And that's where I pick up my second brush and then my blonde here. And you can see there's kind of two different colors. I mean, they're very subtly different, but the one here on my right is gonna be a little bit lighter. Here's a trick that I learned recently to make sure you can add as much volume to your brow as possible. You don't wanna go down, you always wanna go up. And there are little fine baby brow hairs up there that you can add color to, but sometimes you can't see unless you brush the brow down. So that's what we're gonna do. I go back through and I brush them all down. So now you can see little fine hairs up there. See those, like that one way up there, that I can fill with some powder. So we'll start. I find that this allows me to create a brow that's not so pointed, a little softer lines on the top. See how much fuller that looks? So we're gonna go back, add a little bit of the light blonde and the dark blonde to the brush, and go over here, look real closely, and I'm gonna start working some of the powder through those fine baby hairs up top. And then I can just take it down the side. And then once again, now that I move all the hairs back up, you can see all of a sudden that fuller look is being created. Once I've done this process, I'll go back through and sort of fine tune everything. So if you notice, obviously because I don't have a lot of brow here at the front, I'm probably gonna have to go back through and darken those a little bit. And I'll brush these up and I may add a little bit there too. So I'm gonna go back and with that technique that I showed you earlier, I'm going to take the Brow Wiz and I'm going to kind of stroke a few faux hairs in there to create a little more depth. Now, the middle part of your brow should be the darkest, a little bit lighter at the front and on the ends. And so once again, I'm gonna go back through with my brush and just kind of soften everything out, but I do have the fill look that I want. If you look at it at this point, I mean, you saw what I was working with at the beginning and you know that there is no hair there. And I think at this point we've achieved a little bit of height, some thickness, and it looks like I have a brow where I actually really don't. Now that that's done, I will go back through and just add a little bit of highlight underneath to give it more of a definition. Happy with that? I'm going to continue to soften. That's the great thing about the brow brush, is that if you feel like you've made a mistake, this is the mistake eraser. You can always go back and add more, but this will take it all away. Now, brow gel. And you'll see the dimension I'm talking about when I put it on. So I don't need a lot. and it's a really pretty color. And I'll just go through. And I like to lift my brows a little bit because they aren't super thick. And I'll go to each side. Kind of got to get control of the ends over there. And that's it. A longer process to walk you through it, but as you can see, from nothing to I got something to work with now. I wasn't blessed with the best, biggest brows, but we do with what we were given. And I think with finding the right threader who's kind of like a brow artist, that's helped give my base, and then with those 4 tools, you can work from there. Like with anything, I have good days and bad, you know, like with your hair on top of your head. And some days I'll put it all together and then look fabulous, other days, not so much. But one day, hopefully all the gaps will be filled and I can have fabulous, big, natural brows. Until then, these products work for me. So if you have any questions about the tools I used or threading, I've included links in the description box. And if you have any tools or products you like to enhance your brows, please comment below. I'm always looking for suggestions. I'll respond. If you like what you saw, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Have a good week.